Hello, my friends, and welcome to Fear into Faith. This is our Miracles, Signs, and Wonders edition. I am your host, Summer Day, and with me today is a studio audience! Yay! I gotta be real for a second. It is so much more fun to interview people when there's a really awesome studio audience. We have a great story for you to hear today. It's about a man, but when he was 10 years old, was on his deathbed, saw 3 angels, and was miraculously healed. Welcome to our stage, Todd Jones.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
I love this story. I remember when you sent this in, I read it so many times. I couldn't believe that this had happened. It's so good. And we're going to leave everyone on a cliffhanger. Before you share your story, tell us about you. Where are you from?
Well, I'm originally from about 7 miles down the road, Irving, Texas. My father was a Pentecostal minister.
Come on, Pentecostal.
My mom grew up with Oral Roberts. She was in his tent meeting. She was one of the K singers, the K sister singers.
Nice.
She and Oral.
Can you really quick share for people who Oral Roberts was? Because not everybody knows that name.
Oral Roberts is 1948. He started his ministry. 47, he started his ministry. And he was a healing tent revival meetings from the 50s all the way up to have his own Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is where I live now.
Wow.
And he also helped start Southwestern Bible College in Oklahoma City.
Nice.
But that was in 1947.
Yeah, so he was, at the time, he was known all over the world for having a very large healing ministry.
Right, right, he was. But my mom, he started a church. Well, actually, the church was already started, but he in Shawnee, Oklahoma, and that's where my mom really met him. My grandpa was a Pentecostal preacher.
Wow.
And so there's a generation there, but there are also generational curses, which that's a whole nother story when you get into that.
But a whole nother interview. So that's where you were born and raised near here, and now you live in Oklahoma.
Now I live in Oklahoma.
You married?
I'm married.
Kids?
I have 2 kids, and I have 2 stepchildren.
Nice.
And we have 9 grandkids altogether.
Wow.
So,
and what do you do in the world, Todd?
Well, in the world, I worked for Ford Motor Company, and I retired about 10 years ago.
Wow. What you doing in retirement?
Well, I got to, they forced me into retirement basically because they shut the plant down. And they decided to make the glass somewhere else cheaper, which it is what it is. That's just how things go these days.
Yeah.
So they shut the plant down. I got a couple of, was able to get a retirement. I got a couple of part-time jobs. They closed the second job I had, they closed them down. They were bought out, and that was right before COVID hit. So I was drawing unemployment, and then when COVID hit, I thought, well, I really don't want to get out and have to fight all that and wear the mask. So I just went into full retirement and just kind of became the housewife, so to speak.
Did you wear a fluffy, frilly apron?
No, I didn't.
No, okay.
But I have a Halloween costume.
Nice. I don't think I want to know about that.
But anyway, now I'm. Since then, I've become ordained, so I'm a minister. But the backstory to that is, I'm a backslider. My father was a backslider. My grandfather was a backslider.
You're from a long line of backsliders?
And that's where the generational curses I was talking about come in, because they were Pentecostal preachers, and there's more. I believe there's more that goes on in the church. There's more people that probably nowadays, it's just the way things are. They're not as charismatic. It's more, let's go to church and let's get a 30-minute sermon and 3 songs and fog machines or whatever it is that they want to talk about.
Yeah, we're working on that.
Yeah.
We got to bring back the charisma. We got to bring back passion for the Lord.
If you don't go to church, and even as a Christian, if you don't go to church and feel convicted to where you feel like you have to get up off of your seat, because every Christian needs a good sermon that just gives them, it fills your spirit, it touches your soul. You know, it's not enough to just read the Bible. We get we get the Word of God from reading the Bible. But if you don't go to church and you just walk out and go, well, that was a good service, and you don't remember what they talked about, but you're going to remember 2 days later what he said that made you want to get up, you know, or make you want to say amen or hallelujah or whatever. And it's not in that. And it's because I think too many are considered non-denominational. You know, years ago it was a Pentecostal holiness. And when I say Pentecostal, I'm not talking roll your hair in a bun, no makeup. I'm talking spirit-filled, speak in tongues, Pentecostal. And honestly, growing up in it, being around it, I never spoke in tongues. I was used to it. I can remember when we went to Assembly of God Church, I believe it was Royal Rangers was the boys group, and I forgot what they called the girls. But the Baptist girls would come with their friends, and somebody would get up and they'd start speaking in tongues or something, and it was like you could see the Baptist girls get out and they'd run out, you know. And
I have to tell you really quick, we traveled for 3 years in an RV. We went to 31 states, so I've been to church in a large part of this country, and it is what you said. There's not a lot of churches that have that passion and zeal, that have a great worship team, that have people that, you know, want to stand up, raise their hands for Jesus, get a little crazy, and then that have a really great preacher too with a great message, heart for the Lord.
Right.
There's some amazing churches. In fact, in Fort Worth, there's Mercy Culture. Shout out to Mercy Culture, my church. Oh my gosh, they're amazing. They're amazing. They're on fire.
Yeah.
But there is a lack of passion in several of the churches out there, and there's a lack of passion in the members. It was disheartening for me to travel and see that church for some is a box on a to-do list. And they're just checking that box off every week.
And it's really hard for me. It's hard for me to find a church. I mean, you know, I think with the COVID and the online churches, it almost made it. I think someone earlier was talking about your contact and
connection.
And we do need.
Talks a lot about the power of connection.
Right, we do need contact and connection because now I can get more out of a service. Watching a spirit-filled service that's maybe a 2-hour service rather than sit and watch you see your local, I'll call it non-denominational church.
You got to stop that. I go to a non-denominational church in Los Angeles that's full, lots of fire.
Well, some of them are, but a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are just like, I
think it depends on where you go. You can go to a Lutheran church full of fire. I bet there's a Pentecostal church somewhere out there not full of fire.
Oh, there are. There are.
So I don't think it's depending on non-denominational, denominational, Catholic. It's people. People are what makes the church, and leadership.
Right.
Starts from the top down.
And I think a lot of the churches went to the non-denominational because they can get. And I understand what you're talking about non-denominational.
Just don't go political on me. Don't go political on me, Todd.
And I'm not going political. all I'm going about is. It's easier to get everybody in because it's hard to get.
Maybe.
If some people won't go to a church if they think that they're speaking in tongues or if there's shouting or dancing or what. But if you read
running. If they're speaking in tongues or shouting and dancing, that's my church, yes!
But there's so many people that don't do that. And if you read the Bible.
I hear you. Okay, I got to pause you real quick. We're going to take our first commercial break, and we'll be right back right after this.
Cornbread, cobbler, ribs, pulled pork. Nothing says home like amazing barbecue. At Ken's Hardwood Barbecue, we have the best fresh, savory meats, sides, and desserts, perfected from 4 generations of family recipes. Voted Southern Arizona's best barbecue. Ken's Hardwood Barbecue is the perfect place for lunch, dinner, takeout, or your catered event. Come down and taste us today or visit kenshardwoodbarbecue.com and place your order. Your mouth will thank you. Visit Ken's Hardwood Barbecue now.
Losing a family in the line of duty is a heart-wrenching, painful experience that no one could ever be prepared for. The emotional loss can be traumatic, and the financial setbacks can be life-altering. Blue Family Fund is a nonprofit organization that exists to assist the families of fallen officers and first responders. Our focus is to raise funds for higher education, scholarships for dependents of law enforcement officers and first responders. We are here for you.
Are you traveling long-term internationally? Moving to another country? How's your furry family member going to get there? You won't be able to just buy them a plane ticket. There's a whole series of processes and red tape that no one wants to sift through. You need a partner. You need Doggone Taxi. We take the confusion and headache out of moving your pet to your new country. We take care of the shipping, the fees, the health permits, and anything else that your destination country requires. Visit doggonetaxi.com and get your free move quote today. That's doggonetaxi.com.
Welcome back, my friend. We are hanging out with Todd Jones, and we are just about to get into your miracle story from when you were 10.
Right.
Whoo, it's a powerful one.
Right.
So take us to that day, where you were, what was going on.
Well, it was June 28th, 1971, and 1971 in Oklahoma was extremely hot. In the early, from 1970 on, it was extremely hot. And 2 years prior, they thought I had a heat stroke.
Because it was so hot.
Right, and of course back then we didn't have air conditioning anyway.
Yeah.
It was you had your windows open and you just enjoy the breeze, and everything was different. Well, anyway, we were playing baseball, and of course back then too we had like a cotton everything. We had like a big thick shirt, and the full length pants were now they pretty much play in shorts. But so anyway, I'd been at a ball game, and it was like 102 degrees that day, and went home, and I wasn't feeling good. And so then the next day, I woke up. This was like on about the 26th. I went into the coma on the 28th, but on the 26th, I woke up feeling bad, and my mom, she called the doctor, and they said, "Oh, just give him cold baths, try to get his temperature down."
Yeah.
I think it was like about 102 then.
Yeah.
And it jumped up to 104 or 5. And of course, nowadays, having grandkids, they don't seem to worry that much about it, but back then they did more, I guess.
I still worry if it hits 104 or 105. That's a good temperature. That's the thing to worry about.
But anyway, so I ended up going to the clinic. They took me into the clinic, and they said, well, it might just be some heat stroke again.
Yeah.
Watch him, keep giving him the baths, make sure he gets plenty of liquids. So they did that. So then the next day after that, I was in bed. You get the cold, hot. And when my grandma and aunt came over, they came over, and I was watching the Mr. Ed show, and they went in the front room, and they came back, and they were going to go to the store. I don't know, whatever they were going to do. They went and came back later, and my mom thought I was asleep. Well, when they went in there, they tried to wake me up, and I wouldn't wake up, and they pulled my eyelids up, and my eyes had rolled back in my head. So they got me in the car, and they ran me to the St. Francis Hospital in Tulsa. And by that time, I was starting to, from what they tell me anyway, I was starting to have convulsions, and they had me in the emergency room, and I was just just thrashing around. And,
Oh, wow.
And they were trying to tie me in the bed, and as they were wheeling me down to do some kind of, some kind of x-rays or whatever. Well, I was about to tip the bed over. My mom just started saying, "Jesus, Jesus, Jesus." And it calmed me down. So anyway, and I'm going to say long story short, by the time they figured out what I had, it took them about, I'd say probably 16, 18 hours. And they did a spinal tap. I had encephalitis and spinal meningitis.
Wow.
And they in a Catholic hospital, they'll give you a last rites pin to put on your bracelet when you're going to die. So the doctor said, well, he's probably got 8 hours to live.
Oh my goodness.
If he does live, he'll be a vegetable. Won't be, the Todd that you knew. So anyway,
So they put that pin on you.
they put the pin on me, and I was in intensive care, and I was on the child's ward. And they ended up over a 3-day period, they basically emptied out the child's ward up there, because for 3 days all I did was scream and holler. I was tied down. My legs were tied down, my body, my head. They had a nurse that back then, I don't know what it was, but they had something in my mouth that they had to hold on to keep me from swallowing my tongue.
Oh, no.
My head was tied down to the bed. And so
Is that just from the infection and everything? Is that just what was going on?
I guess it was just from everything, from the infection, from the heat, from the temperature that I had, everything that they were just trying to, because originally they thought I only had 8 hours to live, and here I was going on 3 days.
Wow.
And of course, during all
my heart as like a mom, a mom of 3, I'm thinking of your mom, and I'm thinking there's like, that would be one of the most torturing things in the whole world, to have to sit and watch your kid thrashing about, and he's got 8 hours to live, and he won't stop screaming. I just feel like, I don't know if my heart could handle that.
Well, during all that time, of course, my mom had gotten on the phone, and my mom and dad both, they were calling everybody they knew. And I think Oral was I believe he was in Hawaii having some kind of meeting. And
I think it was a conference with like 3,000 people or something like that.
And of course, back then they didn't have cell phones, so it probably, there were people all around. Our evangelistic temple is where we went to church in Tulsa, and that's where Oral was a member of that church.
Yeah.
And so
they had a lot of people starting to pray for you.
there were a lot of people, and there were people all over the country. But back then, it's like you couldn't pick up the cell phone and start texting people and say, "Here, pray for this kid." Or
one of the greatest benefits of social media is being able to do one post. Last year, my daughter was in the ICU. My youngest, not just once but twice. And I'll never forget the comfort that I was able to feel as a mom, being able to just say, my family needs prayers right now. And there was just like, boom, 100 people. And then when I posted a picture that it was my daughter, and it was like, hey, I need prayer. I have to say, as much as there's dark and evil and horrible things about social media and how it's really caused a lot of problems with self-esteem and all that, that is one of the best, greatest things, is us being able to have prayers like that all over the world when we need them. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll back up just a little bit and say this, that the devil is out to get everybody that's got a calling.
Yeah, for sure.
And my mom had TB, and they were married for 9 years before I was born. So I was a miracle to even be there to begin with.
Wow.
And then to have this, so anyway,
So you were thrashing around for 3 days, and
3 days and nights. Literally, they said that the kids couldn't go to sleep. But I was, I was behind doors. But it just was total screaming the whole time. And I guess it's because the pain was so bad.
Wow.
They said when my mom, and I don't like, I'm gonna have to back up just a little because I don't tell this story very often. But I was saying stuff about, I don't want to die. Excuse me.
Okay.
Let me out. But I think it was the pain of the infection in my head. But anyway, coming out of it after the 3 days, it was just a miracle. So the miracle point was, I was laying in the bed, and I remember looking up.
I'm going to stop you right now, and everybody's going to have to just lean in, hang on for the ride. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll come back, and then we're going to hear about the angels and everything else that happened next.
At Zondra TV, we love small business, and we're here to help. Zondra is the host and executive producer of Real Biz Talk with Zondra and the founder of the Zondra TV network, found on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, and more. And now you can advertise your small business affordably and effectively with our digital ads, press releases, TV interviews, and custom commercials. Find out how you can get the exposure your business needs. Visit beyondztv.com and let's get started today. That's beyondztv.com.
The number one tool for generational wealth is and always has been real estate. Property ownership is the most trusted financial security, and there's so many benefits. Most people lack the information, education, and more importantly, the mindset to make real estate repeatable and profitable. Until now. Our step-by-step approach will give you the knowledge and tools necessary to help you grow your portfolio. Check me out, ToneRobinson.com.
Hello, my friend. We are back, and we are in the middle of Todd's story when he was 10 years old in the ICU, high fever, infection, thrashing around in pain for 3 days. And then you were telling us at the end of 3 days you kind of came out of it. When did you see those 3 angels that you talked about in the book?
Well, when I came out of it, I was laying. Of course, I was laying on my back, and I couldn't move. All I could do was move my eyes, and I didn't know what was going on. Everything was white. Back then, the nurses wore the white, the little white hats, the white dresses. I was trying to spit because I was trying to talk, and I had something in my mouth. So anyway, I guess one of them finally realized that my eyes were open, and they started screaming, and they're running, and doctors are coming in, and I'm still trying to say something, and I'm looking at whatever I can see stuff, and then they start taking some stuff loose, and they're asking questions, but I can't talk because they still, they still got the stuff in my mouth. So when they take it out, I'm like, the first thing I said was, "Where am I?" And they were all like, "Oh my God, what the?" And then they start calling for my mom, and anyway, they get my head loose. I look over and I can hear this. The whole time I can hear Todd, 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 and it just calmed me down. So I looked over and I could see my mom and Dad coming in. They were I thought, are they angels? I mean, because they had white, and then I'm thinking
they would make them put the stuff on top.
They put stuff on. They put So anyway, they come in and I kept hearing the Todd, and when I finally they started loosening me up, and they're asking me like what my name is, and I'm telling them my name. Where do I live? I'm telling them where I live. They're asking me all kinds of questions, and everything they're asking me, I'm like, what? I kept saying, why are you asking me that for? I know who I am. And of course, they're going, you're not supposed to be doing this. You're supposed to be
alive,
dead.
let alone if you are, you're supposed to be a vegetable. That's what they said, yeah.
So then when I kind of looked up, there were 3 women at the end of the bed. And
what did they look like?
Well, they were in all white, which I thought they were nurses. They were in all white.
Yeah.
There was a white woman, a black woman, and a white woman. And the reason I know they were at the end of the bed because I could see out a big window and I could see daylight.
Wow.
So as I was looking, they kept saying Todd, 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 and I just got calm, and they came in and started asking all the questions, and so I didn't know who they were. I couldn't figure it out. But there was so much other stuff going on, that I'm like, whatever. I don't know. It took, they ended up. I had 2 more spinal taps to make. Which those are not anything. I had one obviously when I was in the coma, so I didn't feel that one. But you definitely, as a little kid, you don't want to feel the needles going in.
Oh yeah, those are not.
So anyway, when it was all said and done. After, let me see, I was in almost on the 3rd week, I guess it was, that by that time I knew everybody in the hospital. They kind of gave me free rein. When I got to where I could walk, they were like, let him do what he wants.
Wow.
Whatever. But so I remember the doctors came in and I said, well, where's those other 3 nurses? And they like, what nurses? I'm like the ones at the end of the bed. And they said, there weren't any. So I know that they were my angels.
Wow.
So, because since then, I don't know how many times I've been stuck under a raft going down the Colorado River. Couldn't get out of that. I've been lost in a cave in the Colorado, in the Cave of the Winds.
You were lost in a cave?
Well, I went there on a church camp, and we snuck in the back.
Whoa.
We snuck in the back where we weren't supposed to be, and it kind of caved in on us.
Caved in on you?
Yeah, the back of the Cave of the
Did you
Winds.
see angels again?
No, I didn't see angels, but the angels I just know I've been through so many things that my guardian angels, it's like I can tell, when things happen.
Yeah.
I had a motorcycle wreck 2 years ago in West Virginia, and I laid the bike down so hard my knee put a dent in the gas tank. And,
Oh my gosh.
And when I hit the truck, because I was afraid she was going to T-bone me. So when I hit the truck, I had a helmet on, which I usually don't wear, but I did. So I had a little half helmet on, and I heard it. And when I went flying over the front of the windshield, I saw the truck like this far away, and all I thought was, it's going to hurt. So I say that.
All I thought was, it's gonna hurt.
And then I blacked out, and I was standing up. The next thing I knew, I was standing up in the middle of the road, and the guys I was with, they said, "Man, you went over that." And he said, "It's like you just got picked up, and you were standing there. We thought your legs were going to be broke."
Wow.
And so I know that was my guardian angels.
I believe it, Todd. I saw something just like that happen right in front of my husband and I. A guy was motorcycling in and out of traffic, and somehow he clipped the wheel, and the bike tipped, and it's spinning, and he's on his back spinning, and everyone was driving 70 miles an hour, and I'm telling you, everyone came to a screeching stop before anybody hit him, and I didn't remember hearing any of the sounds of screeching tires, and then he was standing, and I told my husband, I said, "There's no way. How did everybody stop?" And I saw it with my own 2 eyes. I said, "How did he got saved that day?"
I was
100%.
standing up, and I looked down at my legs, because I thought my legs would probably be like bent or broke or whatever, and I'm tapping them. Well, I'm all right, So, and but I say this to say when I was
so many times you have felt the presence of angels and knew that somebody
Right.
had to have been there with you.
And as a backslider, what I said earlier, who's now come back, and I had already given my life back to God, but I hadn't fully given it back until the motorcycle wreck.
Wow.
But I'll say this: when I was under a raft going down the river, they'll tell you, if anybody's ever been, they'll say, don't try to put your feet down, because that's how people drown. They put their feet down, and their feet will get stuck in a branch, and it holds you down, and then you can't get out anyway. That's how people die. So I remembered when I fell out of that raft, it was a big one, there were like 12 people on there. When I fell out of it, I tried to float, because they'll tell you to float. Well, everybody else was getting in the raft, and I was under it, and I was trying to push up. And never one time did I think God saved me. But I was stupid enough to try to grab my sunglasses as they were floating by. And at that point, because I didn't have any air left, and I was like, well, I'll probably have a little bit of air between here and, I can do that. So I, like that, and took the air in, and I felt the water going in too, and I still didn't ask forgiveness. Wow. And I didn't ask forgiveness again when I had the wreck on the motorcycle. People think all their life, as a backslider, I can live the way I want because I don't have to worry about it. Because I'll ask Jesus to save me. You won't, because that's not in your mind. Because the reason it's not in your mind, the devil is not going to put it in your mind. Yeah. He's trying to take you out to begin with. Yeah. He's not going to allow you to go, Jesus, save me. Yeah. Because Jesus will save you, but you have to ask. Yeah. Even if you're especially if you're a backslider, because you know better. Yeah. But
well, believe it or not, my friend, we're actually at the end here.
Okay.
You did an excellent, fabulous, and amazing job.
Well,
thank you so much for being here. I feel like I was holding my breath during your entire story. And my friend, I just pray that if you're listening to Todd's interview, especially what he was saying about if you're a backslider, that he will inspire you that your time is now to give your life to Jesus and to recommit your life to Jesus. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Join people from all walks of life from all over the globe as we read the Bible from cover to cover on Global Bible Revival, right here on Zondra TV.